everyone to the June 26, 2023 regular board meeting for the town of Aberdeen. There are agendas on the table when you came in, if you would like one, and if you would like to request to speak tonight on an item, if you would fill one of these out and give it to the clerk, we would appreciate that. And we'll put them in order of the way I received them. So I will get to everyone. Thank you for those that are here on business with the town and those that may be at home watching this on their computer, because this is filmed and put on the internet. So with that, if you're looking at your agenda, the first order is call to order, then it's A, Pledge of Allegiance. If you would please rise. Thank you. I'll close out item number 1 and go to item number 2, which is setting of the agenda.
No changes to the agenda, Mayor. There are no changes.
No changes, okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion and we approve the agenda as written.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. We go to item number 3, consent agenda. All items listed below are considered routine or have been discussed at length in previous meetings will be enacted by one motion. No separate discussion will be held except on request by a member of the Board of Commissioners. A, consider approval of minutes of special called meeting on May 22, 2023, regular board meeting on May 22, 2023, and work session of June 12, 2023. B, consider approval of fiscal year 2022, 2023, year-end budget amendments for the general fund. C, consider approval of fiscal year 2022, 2023, year-end budget amendments for the water and sewer fund. D, consider approval of resolution number 23-16 to accept financial guarantee for street trees, and sidewalk improvements for Bluebird Hill subdivisions phase 2 in the amount of $52,531.25. E, consider approval of project ordinance amendment for the Sportsplex. Yeah, that's it. All right.
Make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as spoken.
Second.
A motion and a second to accept the consent agenda. Any discussion from the board? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Go to number 4. Item number 4. Informal discussion and public comment. A, fiscal year 2021-22 audit report. Presentation by Forbes. Consider acceptance of fiscal year 2021-22 audit report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. Appreciate you allowing me to join you this afternoon to discuss the fiscal 22 audit. Each of you should have received a draft statement of the report, I think with your agenda package last Friday, and Mr. Watson, I think, provided you with the final copies. There were a few minor changes between the draft and the final, but nothing material. But as a result of our audit, we issued an unmodified or clean audit report on the town's financial statements. We did not identify any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal controls. I would like to focus on a few high-level results of the town's financial statements for the year. During the fiscal year, the general fund balance increased by approximately $801,000. In total, general fund revenues amounted to $12.5 million for the year, which was an increase over the prior year of about $1.8 million, primarily the result of ARPA grant revenues. Expenditures for the general fund amounted to $11.9 million for the year. That represented an increase of $2.8 million over the prior fiscal year, primarily the result of capital expenditures, including the purchase of the Aberdeen Elementary School and various capital items in the public safety area. In the general fund, at the end of the fiscal year, total fund balance amounted to $7.2 million, of which $4.9 million is unassigned. Unassigned fund balance represents about 41% of 1 year's of expenditures. As you know, the Local Government Commission recommends a minimum fund balance percentage of 8%, so you're well above the suggested minimum fund balance level. The water sewer fund results were very similar to the prior fiscal year. Revenues amounted to about $4.2 million for the year, which was in line with the prior year, and net income or change in net position amounted to $166,000 compared to $163,000 in the prior year. On a government-wide basis, the town's current assets, including cash and other receivables, amounted to $11.6 million, which was a small improvement over the prior year. Total installment purchase debt of the town amounted to $7.6 million at the end of the fiscal year. Outstanding debt increased by about $1.7 million, which was primarily the result of debt increases for the police station renovation and the purchase of a fire truck. And of course, that was net of any planned or scheduled principal payments on installment debt. So overall, positive financial results for the year. As I mentioned, no other audit matters such as material weaknesses were identified. So those were the only comments I had. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions from the board? Anyone? I like the word positive. Thank you for that.
Okay.
We've survived COVID, and we're coming out the other side in good shape.
Yes, sir.
And we appreciate what you've done. Any other comments?
Everything sounds good. That's what we like to hear.
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody? Thank you,
All right,
sir.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
very much. Mayor, as part of this presentation, it's on the agenda, there is a request just to make a motion to generally accept the report. Doesn't mean necessarily approving anything, it just means you're accepting the report.
Yeah, accepting the report.
Yes,
It's number 2 on there.
That's right.
I make a motion that we accept the report, the audit.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, that motion carries. Thank you. Go to B, other public comments, and I have a number of people that have signed up to speak. And the way this works, and I notice there's someone that's asking a question, and I'll answer it. When we receive these, we do them in order. So the first person that turns one in on whatever subject it is the one I call to speak. If that person doesn't want to speak, by default it goes to the second person. And I do have someone that said that he would like to go first, but he didn't sign up first. So that's the way it works. Unless the person that was first wants to defer to the second person, and that second person has to let me know that the other person's okay with it. So you're Mr. Dupree? Do you mind if he goes, let's see, who is it? If he goes first and then you go second? All right, Mr. King, so it's you then.
Hey everybody, my name is Logan King. I'm a resident of Southern Pines and a business owner here in Aberdeen. Before I get started, I want to thank a few people. I want to thank you guys for your public service. I want to thank our leader at Skaters for More, William Dean, for his hard work. And I want to thank Taylor Clement, councilwoman from Southern Pines, for showing her support today. I want to update you on where Skaters for More is and where we plan to go. The last year and a half, we have worked our butts off and raised $50,000 through grassroots fundraising. This is selling t-shirts and stickers, concerts, skate jams, movie nights. We've done everything. I think it's a huge accomplishment that we have raised $50,000, and I want to thank everybody who participates with Skaters for More for that. Next, where we're going. The town of Southern Pines have gifted us the land and $50,000 to build the park. We have raised another $50,000. We're at $100,000. We plan on filling out a grant application with the Convention and Visitor Bureau of Pinehurst, Aberdeen, and Southern Pines to ask them to match our funds to help us build the skate park. Before we do that, I'm here in front of you today, and we'll be in front of Pinehurst Council soon. I'm letting you know that if you would consider a donation of less than a new pickup truck, your pledge could be doubled. We could have a park by next year. That would be a huge accomplishment for this town, and the proximity of the park is going to be in such a place that it will serve all of Moore County, not just the town of Southern Pines. Lastly, the town of Southern Pines has agreed to maintain the park. This park is not going to last 5 years. This park is going to last decades. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we ask him a question?
Yes, certainly.
Okay, I'm sorry, sir. So you mentioned you were a Aberdeen business owner,
Yes, ma'am.
but can I ask where your business is, just out of
307 Fields Drive. It's called Cardinal Apparel.
Cardinal what?
Cardinal Apparel. We're a screen printing
Cardinal
company.
Apparel, okay.
Yep.
All
All
right,
those shirts
sure.
you see here is
I just wanted to know, I was curious.
Yep, yep.
And where did you say the park is going to be located?
in Memorial Park in Southern Pines,
Okay.
right off of US 1,
Right, adjacent to Memorial Park. Okay.
in Memorial Park.
Okay, which is off Morganton Road? No,
Yes.
off Morganton Road.
Morganton
Okay.
Road.
Yes, and if I wasn't
Okay.
clear,
Well, you said it was close. I was just curious
Yes,
about
ma'am.
how close.
yes,
Okay.
ma'am. And we're asking the town of Aberdeen and the village of Pinehurst for a pledge of $50,000.
Any other? Mr. Dupree?
Thank you.
Thank you all. I'm here also with Skaters for More, and I just want to echo what Logan said. I know a skateboarding facility within Moore County would benefit every community within Moore County as well as surrounding areas. Skateboarding within Moore County has not only been underrepresented, but skateboarding is also criminalized within Moore County, which to me makes no sense. I know offering or creating a space within Moore County for people to practice this activity would benefit so many people. And so many people have worked towards this goal for decades at this point. Aberdeen it would be a huge achievement for Aberdeen to contribute to the skate park as well. So thank you all.
Thank you. Ms. Edmondson?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Mary Edmondson. I am a resident of Aberdeen for almost 29 years. And I just wanted to come before you and support of this great opportunity to partner and to help our neighboring communities build a skate park. I think it's an invaluable investment. As Jonathan shared, underrepresented sport. We have this great sport complex out on 501 that we're so proud of, and wouldn't it be amazing if we could all come together and build it? I had a skater, well, he still skates, he's 19, and it was really hard for us to find safe places for him to skate, or we would have to go out of town to Wake County, Cumberland County, sidewalks. No offense, run some cops, Carl. No, I'm just kidding. But I just wanted to speak on behalf and just say, as a Aberdeen resident, I am in full support of us partnering with the communities to help build the skate park. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, Ms. Marquez?
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to us tonight. As a mother of skateboarders, I had two sons who were skateboarders, and they tried basketball, they tried football, they tried baseball, they did t-ball, but once they discovered those wheels, they never looked back. And so, you know, we would like to have sports available for kids who don't want to necessarily play ball. So I just think we should look outside the box and think about how we can really bring our community together by building the skate park. Other people, not just Aberdeen, our Aberdeen residents and everybody in Moore County will definitely benefit from this project. And I seriously hope that you will consider. As a fundraiser who's been doing this for over 20 years, I am so hopeful that we can actually make this dream come true, and I'd like to have all of you involved in that if possible. Thank you so very much, and thanks to everybody here.
Thank you. Terry Grimble, did I say that right?
Hello, I'm Terry Grimble. I am the director of Friends of the Skate Parks Foundation. We are a nonprofit that helps communities all over the Carolinas with their skate park projects. We've worked on dozens of projects to help make sure that skate parks are built correctly so that the whole community gets the benefits. First, I'd like to give high praises to all the communities of Moore County who have supported this important project. Many skateboarders, BMX bike riders, scooter riders, inline skaters, artists, parents, and business owners have worked hard on this project, and they have formed an official 501c organization, the Skaters of Moore, that's not just here to see this project done and dismantled, but to continue to fundraise for repairs, expansions, and other programs that benefit the community. When skate parks are properly funded, properly located, properly designed, properly built, and properly ran, your entire community benefits because the benefits are crime rates will fall, property values go up. This is statistically proven. Jobs are created, positive economic impact happens, and most importantly, many lives are impacted, especially at-risk youth who find skate parks as a sanctuary where they can spend their teenage years focused on skateboarding, bike riding, scooter riding, inline skating. It is a multiple sport facility that all these different sports can use. Skateboarding is the fastest growing sport in the world. It is now an Olympic sport. It's one of the safest sports that kids do in America. Statistically speaking, it falls between soccer and gymnastics, which are the three safest sports compared to baseball, basketball, football, and the other traditional sports of those natures. Let's see. Oops. Okay, so I've worked on many projects in Myrtle Beach, in Spartanburg, in Fayetteville, and in Elizabethtown. We're working on several projects, and we've been working to make sure that you guys in this county get the best skate park for your money. There are a lot of skate park builders that have slick sales teams. They're producing overpriced and poorly designed parks, and that skaters don't want to use as much, so you won't get all those other benefits. So that's what we're here to do, and that's what we've been helping the Skaters of Moore do through our foundation. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions as we go?
Is Southern Pines the only municipality that's given to you so far? I mean, has Pinehurst or? Not yet, y'all haven't reached them yet, right? Okay, you're starting here, okay. Yeah, yeah. Because it sounds to me like it would, you know, certainly be a county-wide effort, because kids will come in from all over, not just Southern Pines or Aberdeen.
Patrick Blue?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Patrick Blue. I am too a Aberdeen resident, 902 Bethesda Avenue. As you probably know my last name, my family's been deeply ingrained in this area for many years. My father was Cliff Blue, grandfather Herbert Clifton Blue Sr. So that being said, I feel like it's partly my responsibility also as the manager of Into Flow Skateboards to make sure we get a proper skate park here built that we're not only benefit Southern Pines, but Aberdeen, Pinehurst, Hamlet, and all the surrounding counties as well. Since I am the manager, I can give you this statistic. Since we've opened back in October, over half of the boards that we have sold, be that a board that's already come pre-built or one that a kid custom builds on his own or her own, it is from the age ranges of 2 to 18, it has been a kid's very first skateboard. So we are quite literally planting the seeds of what the skate scene is from now to the next 20 years. And I just think if Aberdeen could come in and help us out, make it a very good countywide effort, we could definitely do good by this community. I had more I wanted to say, but I'm getting a little flabbergasted right now, so I apologize. And I know if my father was still with us, he passed away 10 years ago, he would definitely be back behind this, and I know you guys knew him as well, so maybe show us a little bit of support, you know?
I knew him very well.
Mhm. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more, William Dean.
Hello, how are you?
Hey.
William Dean. I am the founder of Skaters for More, director of that as well.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I'm the founder of Skaters for More,
Oh, okay, I'm
director
sorry.
as
I'm
well. I grew up on the streets of Aberdeen. My grandfather, J.O. Singleton, sat right where you guys were back in 70s, late 70s, early 80s. Father was an Aberdeen police officer. Needless to say, I have deep roots in Aberdeen. I own a business, Flowland, up here on US 1, 1200 North Sand Hills Boulevard. We love Aberdeen. I am here, obviously, to speak on behalf of all these guys, but just to appeal to you. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. We had a little not-for-profit skate park down in Pine Bluff that we ran ourselves. I paid the power bill out of my own pocket, and over those years, I saw many, many kids come through that benefited from it. Unfortunately, when the economy went south in 2008, that went downhill, because it was the business owner needed to make money off of his property. After that, I saw kids fall by the wayside. I saw kids that were benefiting and thriving at that skate park start to get into other things. They started to stray away from skateboarding and find drugs and crime and things like that. And I just think this area, the #1 complaint I hear from families moving in is we don't have enough for kids to do. We don't have parks, and we don't have enough places to go to get them outside. And what we are pushing for, with your help and with Southern Pines and hopefully Pinehurst as well, is to reach our goal, which is $350,000. That plan is, we've got $50,000 from Southern Pines. We've raised $50,000 over the past year and plus a couple of months. We're hoping for $50,000 from you guys, $50,000 from Pinehurst. That leaves us at about $200,000. We're also applying for the Convention and Visitors Bureau grant, which they are going to hopefully match funds. And we have been told that we check every single box off, and we are in prime opportunity to possibly get that grant. We're here to you to start this conversation. I know some of the managers have had conversations. I know some of the, with Reagan Parsons at Town of Southern Pines. I know all the Parks and Recreation directors are for it, in spirit, and they have kind of put their stamp of approval on it, behind the lines or what have you, but we're here to bring it to light and hopefully get you guys to, give us an approval and to propose just that $50,000, like Logan said, less than the cost of a pickup truck, to help the youth of Moore County for the next 20-plus years. With that time, I thank you, and if you have any questions, I'd be glad to ask.
Will the 501c3 nonprofit approach the county?
We have approached the county. We approached the county back in 2005. I also approached the county last year, talked to Mr. Ransom. At that point, the director of Parks and Recreation for the county, at that point, they didn't seem too interested, unfortunately. After we kind of, that's on the agenda to go back towards them. We figured we would start at the communities that it's going to help the most, right here. You're talking the municipal parks not even 5 miles from here, or Memorial Park it is, and then kind of branch out from there. But we think with your Aberdeen's contribution, Southern Pines, Pinehurst, plus that grant possibility, that we'll reach our goal, and we'll have a skate park by the first next year.
You have an estimate on what the cost is going to be for the? construction?
350 to 400,000 would be a completely concrete skate park. That skate park would last for 20-plus years with minimal maintenance. If we fall short of that, then we're still going to build a skate park. It'll just be some combination of concrete and wooden materials. Wooden materials would have to be replaced, and more fundraising would have to be done over the next few years. But that if we can build it, how we want to, then future fundraisers can go towards expansion, phase 2, phase 3, like Terry said, running summer camps for kids, and doing other youth outreach, especially at-risk youth. It's adjacent to the Boys and Girls Club, so that we're really going to try to play on that and reach out to communities that are a little underserved, and the skateboarding and action sports community in general is really underserved and has been.
So do you
Where
already,
on-
I'm sorry, go ahead,
excuse me,
Tim.
Where on Memorial Park are you going to put this?
So if you're familiar with Memorial Park, where the horseshoe pits are,
Right.
they have designated a 7,000 square foot area there.
Okay.
Southern Pines is committed to.
My question was, so have you already gotten your plans drawn up, your architectural? I mean, it would be nice to see,
We
I know
do.
for you to come and ask for money, it's kind of like, well, what are we going to be building?
Sure.
If we were to contribute. I'm
You're
just
exactly.
curious.
I believe it's online. Yes, I believe we have online. I don't know how we would be able to get to it real quick, but we do have plans. We have proposed. We came up with a design that would be at a minimum of 125,000. That would be some mix, as I said, of concrete and wood. Our goal, the more we raise, the more of that wooden structures could be made from concrete, so it's more permanent. Concrete costs about $40 to $50 per square foot for the skate park construction, so that's,
Yeah.
and that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, did you have to show that to Southern Pines?
We have, yes,
Before
Southern
they
Pines.
would commit to giving you 50,000?
Actually, they committed prior. This were talks that were had back in '22. I've been meeting with BJ and again, Reagan Parsons and Cindy King, the Parks and Recreation Director over there, for a couple of years.
I've seen some in Wake, there's one in, I think it's out in Fuquay or Apex
Mhm.
area that they can do bikes. My cousin's children go there and they got an indoor.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I realize it's something they love. They just love to go there.
And a lot of our
Um,
community members travel there,
Right.
every weekend to go.
I mean, they go like every week.
Sure.
But I know before, if there's some way before we can even come to a point to commit or vote or whatever, we'd have to see something, to know what we're,
Were you able to
you agree?
pull
Yeah,
that
tonight,
up?
I guess, might just be
if I could-
awareness, but,
This is not on the agenda tonight.
yeah, we don't want to
folks.
see it tonight.
This is not on the agenda.
But you would need to come back. Yeah, I think if at some point you're
You'd have to
asking us
come
for
back
that
and get
amount of
on the
money.
agenda.
yeah.
Okay, fair
Because
enough.
we've got
yeah.
other things to do. and
Yeah.
this
Of course, of
This
course.
is not on the agenda
Okay.
tonight.
Of course, yes. And yes, we would have plans. We are morphing those plans as, as the funds come about. But yes, we've got a preliminary plan. Terry is very instrumental in building skate parks and would be heading that up with the help of professional contractors and such. Yeah. Sure, yeah. It was, we had a couple of meetings where the skaters came together and skaters and other interested BMXers and things came together and put everybody's 2 cents in and came up with a kind of a design.
I know kids love it.
Mr.
They do.
I'm an educator. I know kids love that. That's a no-brainer, but still, it's just, at some point, we're.
Mr. Dean, do you remember the one that was on Pinehurst Avenue in 15501?
I do. It was.
There's people in here that don't remember it,
Yeah,
but I remember it.
I sure do. Yeah, as I was getting into skateboarding, it was crumbling and falling apart.
Yeah,
and,
it
and,
didn't-
and,
yeah,
you know,
it wasn't maintained.
Right, yeah, and that was yeah, kind of in the 70s and 80s when the fall of skateboarding kind of ebbs and flows.
That
but-
also was in Southern Pines, by the way. It wasn't in Aberdeen.
Right, yeah.
Did I understand you to say that you're looking at next year, maybe?
We have of course, again, the grant application going in with the Convention Visitors Bureau. It's Convention and Visitors Bureau of their newly released grant program for nonprofits. We are going to do some more fundraisers throughout the year. Again, we're here to talk to you guys. We're trying to talk to Pinehurst, and hopefully we'll get on the Moore County agenda at some time soon. But I would say by the end of November, we'll have a number. We'll have, what we will have to work with, and I hope to start construction at the first of the year in 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Anyone on the board have any further comments?
Good.
Okay, if not, I'm going to close, well, other public comments, I didn't have anybody else sign up,
Is that everybody? No other
but that's
subjects?
That's
okay.
not public comment. This is public comment. Now, if you still want to say something to the board, if you'd fill out a form, I'll wait just a second and let somebody else speak. But if not, I'm going to move on. We've got an agenda tonight. Yes, ma'am, if you'll fill out one, I know who you are, but I need you to fill one out.
Yes, certainly. We're up with you or back here?
Back there.
Okay, do you want me to do that or speak first?
Either one. We just need to have a copy of it.
Just for your all's time, I'll speak first. I was not preparing to make a comment, but after I was being called out, I guess I'll say something. I am Taylor Clement. I am one of the town council members in Southern Pines. Mayor Farrell and commissioners, thank you guys for being here and allowing us to speak. As a town council member, our discussion in Southern Pines is that there are several things that we would love to work with you all in Pinehurst on, and maybe this park could be the beginning of something that is a tri-city or tri-town kind of event. It's so important to keep the kids off the roads when they're doing these kinds of sports for the safety of the drivers and the people who are skating. And it's important to have a safe space. And I say kids, I took my 3 kids, drove them 45 minutes to Troy to see their skate park and their pump track. My kids loved it, and it was a great example of young children and adults all working and playing together and enjoying the space. And I would love to see something like that in the town, but shared amongst the towns. And we are happy that we can have that space to donate to them and the money to do it. So we would love for you guys to do the same. I'm speaking as myself, but on things that we have discussed at public meetings. So that is all. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you would fill one out and turn it in. All right.
And if we could vote, we'd vote for you for mayor also.
So that, I'm going to close out B unless someone has something else other than this item. If not, I'll close it out. Thank you. All right, 5 is manager's report. Town manager Paul Savaston.
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, because I know we've got a couple more items to get through tonight. You have my written report on your desk, as always, and just a few things after the summary by department. So I just want to congratulate the library group who last week ago Monday had their a book event actually across the street from the proposed library building at the new Main Street Park. I know the weather wasn't great. It was kind of rainy for like 3 days in a row, but it was a great effort by the library group to offer some books and other programs to some of the kids in the community. And that segues into the fact that the Main Street Park is really complete now. There's a few little things to be done, but the bathrooms are open. All of the construction barricades and stuff are down. It's there, so it's being used, and it looks great. Public Works did a great job in cleaning up the area, getting the grass cut, and finally allowing us to use that building in full along with the rest of the park. So, Mayor, I know along with the Sportsplex and the Main Street Park, we'd like to schedule maybe sometime in July or August when things slow down a little bit, maybe some sort of opening ceremony just to kind of reopen it now that it is open, and just bring some attention to it. So we'll work on that for some time in late summer. But I was very, very proud to see that event and use of that building. And they were the first ones to actually use that building once it was, quote, open, so it was nice.
Did you say something about the sign as well?
I'm sorry?
Did you mention anything about the sign? Not yet, okay.
No.
So hopefully we'll have the sign by then too, possibly.
Yeah, possibly.
That'd be great.
For the park you're talking about?
Yeah, the
Right.
Ransdale sign, yeah.
Oh, the Ransdale Park, yeah, no, I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh,
Not yet.
you're still on that, okay. I
Yeah,
thought you were
yeah,
talking about the
they're
sports place now. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
they're working on it. I know Philip's out of town, but I don't think it's that far away. I think
Okay.
it takes forever to get the power. This, as you recall, it's a lit sign. So it's quite a kind of building. It's just not putting a couple posts in the ground, and with all the wiring and Duke Energy involved, it's a process. Timeline, whenever I do that, it always slows down a project, so I'm just not going to say how soon, but I think it will be by midsummer. I'll say that, so hopefully, knock on wood, we'll have something up by then, and that sign is going to be beautiful, so we're looking forward to it. Also, just to continue with the downtown area, it was the first of really 4 Fourth Friday events that took place this past Friday, which was great. Again, the weather kind of, I think, maybe colored it just a bit with the threat of rain. I think some vendors canceled. And it ended up being great weather. I don't know for everyone who was able to make it out there, but I got out there about 5:30 or 6. Weather couldn't have been much better. It was a good turnout. It seemed like there was an early crowd. They came around 4:15.
That's when I went.
Yeah, and then it thinned out a little bit, so it was open from 4 to 8. But it was a good crowd. There was still a decent number of vendors out there. So we figured out a few things, and I think each event will get better and better. But I just want to congratulate not just the coffee shop, but all the businesses who participated in that event. And I think it's a good thing, and I think it will grow in the future and become really a mainstay event during the summer time frame. So it was good to see it, good effort. And I was glad to see not just our local businesses who went ahead and got a booth, but some who were kind of vendors who sell things more online, who like to have a presence just to show people their product, which is a great marketing tool, I think. They were out there too to kind of let people kind of see something without just having to go to a screen to kind of see what it looks like. So some good diverse arts things, but also a lot of good food. I think my wife went grocery shopping up and down the line, and it was great. Some good offerings there too. Another update on the Sportsplex. I think I mentioned in a weekly report a couple weeks ago. After we had the main soccer tournament there, sponsored by ACS in mid-May, it was on Mother's Day weekend. That was the one where they had just a tremendous turnout, and that's a well-established event that's been going on for years. And it was split between both the Sportsplex and also Morganton Road. They had just different age groups at different locales, but the Sportsplex was, as of this year, the main host for that event, and it was a tremendous turnout, as we reported. So later, there was a fundraiser. It was a smaller event, a 3v3, which means 3 players against 3 players on much smaller fields. A couple weeks ago on June 3rd, on Saturday. Again, a good turnout, and I was there all day from literally like 6:30 until, I don't even know what time, I think like 6 o'clock that night. And we got so many compliments. You're able to talk to people in between games. The parents were just so complimentary about the facility and about the event itself. And it's just nice to hear that feedback. I think they enjoyed just that approach to a more casual event. You got like 8-year-old kids playing 3v3 soccer. It's not the World Cup. So they realize, and we focus on fun, not so much on who's going to win the medal. And I think they really appreciate that, just having some fun. So it was a good event. I think the high school team raised some money through that event. So it was good event to see. But again, it brought in a good number of people. And again, I know there were some concessions there, but I know they were also going through town, buying gasoline, using our stores and also our restaurants, depending on what their timing was. So I just wanted to make sure if you weren't out there for that event, you got to see that. Mayor, I'm going to leave it at that. There's some other things going on, but I'll leave it at that tonight since we do have some other pretty longer agenda items, unless you have any questions.
Any questions from the board? If anyone in the audience has not driven down to see the Sportsplex, as we're calling it, it's worth going down there to see. 6 rectangular fields, a clubhouse. It's very well done. It was all done in-house by the town of Aberdeen, and it is drawing people from all over. It's a great asset to this town and also to the county. So if you haven't seen it, take a trip down there and look at it. Okay, I'll close 5 and go to 6, financial report, Butch Watson.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. I'll probably be as efficient as possible tonight. You have before you in the agenda the report through the end of May for the year. I'll go ahead and start for the general fund. For the general fund, year to date through the end of May, we had revenues of $12,846,000. Expenditures of $11,535,000. So basically, we had net income at that time of $1,311,000 through the end of May. So our percent collected for revenues for the general fund was 99.91% through the end of May per budget. Expenditures, we only had spent 89.71%. So we got a spread about 10% at that time. A little bit of the highlights of revenues through the end of May. Real and personal property taxes collected, we are 102.44% through the end of May. That's $5,260,000, and I'll give you some numbers for June right now as well. Through today, we're at 102.65%. So that went up about $11,000–$12,000. As a reminder, this time of year, all the property tax basically have been collected for real and personal property taxes. For motor vehicle tax revenue, we're 102.43%, which was $418,437. Through the end of today, we're 112%, 112.33%, $458,000. That's 12% above budget. The fire, real and personal property tax revenue, we're 100% collection. It hasn't changed, but we normally get that on a basically every other month basis. Garbage fee revenue, no change, but as of end of May, it's 109.91% of budget. Building permit revenue collected was 83.36% collected, and as of today, 84.52%, which is basically $253,000. ABC net revenue collected was 93.59%. There's no change on that.
Mr. Watson, can you scroll that up? People in the audience are not being able to see that. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to skip sales tax for a moment. Utility franchise tax collected was 77.03% through the end of May. We received that from the state basically quarterly. We're 108.34% through today. And power bill revenue, we've already received all of that. We normally get that. Usually it's October and January. So year to date, we're basically blowing the doors off the car for collections. Now, sales tax, 83.26% through the end of May. So we're at 83.26. Through today, we're at 93.57%. So we have 2 months left. So that means we will probably receive another $300,000 to $350,000 over the next 2 months for sales tax. So I project we'll be about 112% above budget when we finish. When I talk to you in August range. Before the August done, just rough numbers. That does not also include the June interest income that we will receive. I will know that July 1st, and it probably be between $35,000 and $40,000. That's not even listening to these numbers here. So overall, I'm thinking for general fund, we'll be above $1 million. I'm not going to state myself out there exact number for when we do the audit next for 23. Again, that million doesn't include sales tax or interest income. So you start adding those numbers together, it's a very good year. But also, this is the last year that we will get ARP money. No more ARP money's coming. Okay? So that's report on the general fund. Any questions?
We still receiving ARP money?
We received it 2 times,
Right.
July of 21 and July of 22.
Right, so we don't have any one.
Pardon?
We're finished with that.
Yeah, we will not receive any more of that.
I thought you were stating as if we had just finished it out, but we finished it last
No,
year.
we received it in July, of the
Of 22.
first month of the calendar of fiscal year.
Yeah. Of this fiscal year, I got you, I got you.
On the water and sewer fund, we've collected year to date through the end of May, $4,177,000. Expenditures, we had $3,625,000. So basically, we had net income at that time of $551,000. And reminder, we have a building coming up this week that will go out. We had collected year-to-date through end of May 90.23%. Expenditures, we had about 78.31%. I expect it to be 10%, that 5% difference at the end of the cycle. So basically, some highlights, the system development fee for water and sewer was 118.90% at the end of May. As of today, it's 136.43% for system development fee collected. Water and sewer revenue was 100.67%. There's no change in that since through today. Water and sewer tap revenue, 120.84% as the end of May. Through today, 135.41% collected. And bulk water from Moore County, 71.43%. There's no change in that as through today. So overall, we are in very good shape in the water sewer fund. At the end of the year for June, I expect we would be somewhere in the range of $150,000 to $200,000 range net income when it's all said and done. That's full enterprise fund, so that pays for itself as we go forward. So overall, if you take a look at the general fund and the water and sewer fund together, we're at revenues of $17,023,000, expenditures $15,160,000. So basically, we had net income of $1,863,000 through the end of May. So any questions on those two items?
For those that may not know, the town of Aberdeen runs two. We run a general fund and then we do a water and sewer fund. So those are two separate items that we
Correct.
work with. So, and we have to keep account of both of them, and you do an excellent job. These numbers are great, very, very, very great.
I'm impressed.
Yes. And our financial year is July to June, is that correct?
July 1st to June 30th.
There you go.
This Friday is technically in the fiscal year.
That's right. This Friday is the end of this past budget. And so these numbers look very good.
All right.
I have a question.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay.
So the 17 million right here is as of, what date did you say? Is that
That's
going to
at
be the end of the month?
May.
Just in May, so by next month,
Well,
what did you project it going to be about? You said about 300,000 is going to come in from,
We will
Sales
receive
tax.
some of that in end of June, third week July,
Mhm.
and the other part will come in third week in August for the sales tax, for payout.
That county does that.
The state.
The state, I'm sorry, the state does that, yeah.
into this year's budget.
It is an accrual and it gets counted in this
It's
year's
already,
budget.
so you're projecting a total of about, by the end, because we won't have a meeting next month
Correct.
to discuss.
That's why I'm
the
gonna give you
end
a
of-
little bit of details about
Yeah,
that.
right, so you're projecting it's going to be, would you repeat that total? As revenue by the end of the closeout?
I think the total will be $1 million plus total.
Okay.
That doesn't include the sales tax or the interest income. And
But
we
the
may have
total
some-
budget's gonna be 17,800,000 basically?
Well, the 17 million would be the revenues. I'll look at.
Revenues, I
I'll look
would
at
say.
net income.
Sure,
So it'll be $1 million
but we
plus.
operate, I'm just saying, as a town, we operate under about a 17.
And that,
and a
that's
half
water
million
and sewer. Water, sewer, and
Together,
general fund
right.
together.
Okay.
Any more questions? I'll go to the capital project funds very quickly, unless there's more
No,
questions.
thank you.
If you take a look at the second page, and I'll do these very quickly. I'm going, so people can see it at home. This will be the last time you see the police station project. That will no longer be on there, it's complete and done. So, but we spent all the money that we borrowed on the capital project, plus those radios that I got approval from First Bank. So all that's collected and all that's spent. And you'll see that in the first table. Second table on Sportsplex, you will see before tonight's budget amendment that you approved. But we had revenues of various sources, town revenues, the grant from state legislature a couple of years ago, and some donations of $1,562,000, spent $2,105,000. So basically, that's a capital project that will keep going, because I think there's probably some other things going on out there. And I will remind you, and I say this every meeting, there's been no money borrowed on that project. We do not owe anybody any money on that project.
Radios, is that what you said?
No,
No,
sports place.
Sports plays, yeah, sports plays, I
Sports
know,
plays.
yeah.
And so that capital project will roll over to next year and just keep going until it needs to be completed. I'll leave it at that, and how the project works out. The last one, the North 211 project, that's basically coming to a close. It may be a while before we finish it up based on their construction cycle, but we received $141,000 from DOT, and we spent $141,000. So basically, right now is 83.1% collected and expense for that project. So overall, just these three capital projects, they have a budget of a little over $8 million, those three. And then I would foresee in the future, something right on US 1, probably something on going up there as well, at Old Aberdeen Elementary School. So overall, we're in very good financial condition.
So right now, the only debt you're showing going into next fiscal year is what we haven't owed on the police station.
No, sportsplex.
We don't owe anything on Sportsplex.
No, I said police station.
The police station, we owe money. We've made one or two principal payments plus the interest we owe. And that was 18 years remaining on that one.
Okay.
Plus the other installment financing they've done over the years for vehicles and other land and so forth.
Yeah, things that we bought.
Any more questions, Mayor or Board?
Anyone?
No, thank you for a good report.
Thank you, that's a great report.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll close out 6 and go to number 7, which is public hearings and new business. The first item is A, annexation request submitted by Strickland Construction for .097 acres, 0.97 acres, located generally south of Longleaf Road, east of Longleaf Circle, and identified as parcel ID number 2006046.
Mr. Mayor, Board, again, Strickland Construction submitted a voluntary annexation for one parcel. It's 0.97 acres, and it's located in an R30 area within the town's ETJ currently. Parcel ID is 200-60496, and again, it's 0.97 acres. This is the survey map of the parcel, right here. This is the current zoning map. As you can see, it is R30 to the northeast and south of it, and R20 to the west. And everything is within the town limits to the west, north, and east. This is actually the only property that's not within the town limits in this current neighborhood. So I can turn it over here to the developers if they want to talk on it, and then bring it back for procedural issues.
This is currently not in the city limits, but it's surrounded by the city limits.
Correct. It is the only property within this area that is not annexed in at this time.
But we're not
Is-
changing any zoning, it's gonna remain the same zone, it's just becoming part of our town limits.
Yeah, we're not talking zoning right now.
That's right.
We're
Just talking annexation.
Annexation.
Is there a larger picture of that?
So if you are.
I've got to figure out where this is. I know the street names, but I'm just curious to,
Yeah, I'm
what
not
is,
quite sure where it is either.
what it's next to. Backside of Forest Hills? Okay. 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 Okay.
So as you see, all the red text coming in, these are all within the town city limits. So surrounded completely, except for this one parcel that would be annexed in.
You might know, and I know you might know, are there still lots in Forest Hills, the old Forest Hills, that are still not in the city limits? Oh, my goodness. Forest Hills has been there 60-plus years.
And probably will continue to have those. Typically what happens is they won't annex unless they need town services, water or sewer. So.
I know we've been through this before. I was thinking they were all in, but you
Yeah.
say there's still some that aren't.
They're just on septic.
Pockets,
They're on septic.
Wow.
yeah, in Forest Hills.
Wow.
That's one of the oldest neighborhoods in town is Forest Hills. One of the most modern old neighborhoods, you're gonna call it that. That's, yeah, thank you. And so this is one of them also.
This is, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor, now would be a good time to open the public hearing before the applicant speaks.
Oh, yeah, yeah, sure. I just wanted to make sure we knew where it was before we got into it. Yeah, this is a public hearing, and any other information you want to give us?
No, sir.
All right, I have a number of people that have signed up to speak, and I will start with the first one.
Do you want to make a,
This is 7B.
They want to speak on the annexation?
You got to close it.
Because we
Ma-
normally don't have
Mr.
a
Mayor,
long
I'd like to make a motion that we enter the
annexation
public hearing.
discussion when somebody wants to come to the town.
Second.
There's a motion for the public hearing. I thought we were in the public hearing.
I think motions probably.
All right, there's a motion and a second to enter into the public hearing.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we are, I'm sorry. All right. Mr. Strickland. No, this is the wrong one.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. This is 7B.
But he can speak on this one if he needs to too, because it's the same thing. One is the annexation, the other one is the zoning.
Consider
Right, that's
approval.
right,
Either
that's why
one.
we're having
That's
a
correct.
All right.
discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
It's
Commissioners,
the
this
same
went
one,
strictly
right?
for the annexation.
Right,
Okay.
Okay, so
I understand.
this is the rezone, though.
Yeah, 7B's rezone. We're doing annexation first.
All
We
right.
got to annex first,
Is
and
there
then we do the
anyone
rezoning.
anyone want to speak on the approval of an ordinance in corporate limits of the town of Aberdeen? Anyone? All right. Is there a motion to this effect?
We need to close it, right? A motion to close it.
Close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing for
Okay.
annexation.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're out of the public hearing, so now we're into 7.
We have to make a
We're
motion
still
to
at-
accept
We would
annexation.
need a motion to approve or deny for this one.
Yeah,
I
we
make a
just-
motion that we accept annexation of the property in the town limits.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, 7B. Zoning map amendment, ZA 23-02, submitted by Strickland Construction to rezone one parcel from residential single family, R30, to residential single family, R20. Parcel totals 0.97 acres, located generally south of Longleaf Road, east of Longleaf Circle, and identified as parcel ID number 200604996.
I'll make a motion that we open the public hearing for 7B zoning map amendment 7A 2302.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor and board members, commissioners, again, parcel number is 2006496, approximately 0.97 acres for the submission of a zoning map amendment from R30 to R20 within Longleaf Circle and Longleaf Road. It's the same parcel that we just annexed in. It's an undeveloped parcel, and it's adjacent again to R30 and R20, so it's not spot zoning with this development.
But it's the same piece of property, which is annexed, is it not?
It is.
Yes.
And
You
again,
gotta remember, when we annex it, it strips it of its current zoning, and we have to rezone it. Go ahead.
it's still R30. They're asking for it to be changed to R20.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I was
It
thinking
was already
county.
zoned, yeah.
So existing zoning to the north is R30, to the east R30, south R30, and to the west is R20. There's no watershed issues, and it's not a floodplain. So this is the current zoning map. Again, you can see over here to the west, this is R20, which again makes it not spot zoning. You have the parcels to the north, to the east, and to the south that are R30. For a site plan would be required for this development, approved by the TRC for compliance with all standards in the UDO. And then when property develops, staff will address the traffic concerns, egress, ingress, and then driveways. When the property develops, sections through the development guide may be required. One section covers the need or trigger for a TIA, and the staff will determine if a TIA would be required when a site plan is submitted with the specific use type called out. The proposed zoning is R20, so we're asking for from it going from 30,000 square feet down to 20,000 square feet per lot. The comprehensive land development plan adopted in 2019 utilizes the future land use map, and the subject parcel is included within the future land use map, and the existing land use map is identified as low density residential on both. And staff believes the use of the type allowed within the R20 zoning is consistent with the requested zoning map amendment. I'll turn it over to Strickland if they would like to speak.
No, yes, the first one is Mr. Strickland.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tommy Strickland with Strickland Construction and Development. And we're here to try to get this thing rezoned. I've been building for several years in Forest Hills, and like we were talking a while ago, there is several lots in there that is undeveloped. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to utilize that property and have 2 lots on it versus 1. And we're trying to be, uniform in the rest of the subdivision also. And we got some maps here for you guys to look at. And, as far as the R30 in the whole Forest Hill subdivision, there's actually 82 lots in there that does not comply with 30,000 square foot zoning. They're less than 30,000 square feet already. So across from Forest Hill, Longleaf Road from these lots, I want to do 2 lots. These lots across the street are uniform to what I'm trying to do on the corner of Longleaf Road and Longleaf Circle. So that's where we're at on that. And of course, my homes that we put in the subdivision are actually real nice homes. We're not in there trying to build cheaper homes or anything like that. I mean, my houses right now, some of them have resale value at over $200 a square foot. I mean, we're selling the houses. If we do these 2 lots, I'm hoping that the town of Aberdeen approve this. That way we'll have, the tax base on 2 houses is going to be at least $450,000 a piece. So you're going to have a tax base up close to $1 million plus, the water and the sewer, trash pickup and that thing. So that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to go in there and, downgrade the subdivision and make it look no different than what it is. I mean, we're trying to comply and make this thing real nice. And we just built 2 homes on Beyond Butler, and actually there was 3 lots there, and they were not R30 at all. And we worked with the town of Aberdeen and made those 3 lots into 2 lots to make the lots bigger. That way it would, flow more with the subdivision as far as what it is. So we're actually trying to better the subdivision. We really are. And, we're just asking you guys to consider maybe doing this thing where we can put 2 nice homes in here and then utilize. The other thing is that the cost of property now is outrageous. I mean, I know you guys probably know, and we're just trying to, you know, build 2 nice homes, not really going there trying to make a crowd of money or anything like that, but I mean, we really need to build 2 homes to be able to make the same money we were making 3 years ago with the price of, you know, materials, the labor. You know, the economy is tough right now as far as trying to make money. So, you know, we're just going to ask you guys to, you know, please consider.
So I need to get some information from you. The lot in question is R30, and you want it to R20.
Yes, Mr.
And is that, I'm not sure I was following you. You talked about 2 houses on that lot. Is that what you were asking?
Yes, the lot is actually 0.97 acres, which is right at 43,000 square feet. So that's, you know, way over the 30,000. So if we break it into 2 lots, you know, and I got a map here as far as what we want to do as far as the plot plan, you know, one of the lots would be, you know, to the east would be 20,000 square feet, and then the one to the west would be 23,312, I think it is. And I have that here, and I got some pictures and stuff also.
And that would be a separate thing, wouldn't it, to divide the lot?
No, sir, what he's asking for is to take this lot, I'm kind of circling it right here, and if he was able to rezone that to R20, that gives him the ability, because it is over, it's over 40,000 square feet, to have 20,000 square feet lots, and then he would be able to develop 2 homes versus 1 home. So it's essentially taking a 1 acre lot, and then he has the ability to build on a half-acre lot for each house.
It doesn't have to be divided or legally divided?
He would still.
He has to come back for that, right?
No, he won't have to come back for that, but he will put in for a zoning map amendment.
He would just come to the staff. It's not a board subdivision.
Or parcel
It'd be
division, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's just a staff review. It's
Yes.
not a board review.
Yeah, but
And when
we can
it meets the requirements, which it will if it's approved through the board, then it's an easy conversion.
Do
And
all
splits that parcel.
I have a question. Do all these dark green squares that are R30 have just 1 home on them at present?
No, I don't think anything's on them.
1 home?
One
They
home.
have 1 home, right?
There are homes that, and like Mr. Strickland said, he's got maps if he would like to show you and pass them
I
around
know
to the
I know
board.
he's saying some are kind of odd, and they look really like they're supposed to be 30, but they look smaller. I was just curious, thinking, you know, with the homeowners, you know, would it just set off and make the neighborhood look, you know, not balanced if the other homeowners, there's only 1 home on those lots, just because. But I know there is a demand for housing in this neighborhood, that,
Right.
I mean, in this whole town, not just.
So if you're asking me, and based off of the analysis that I've done and looking through that neighborhood, there are a lot of lots that are already developed that are under the 30,000 square foot R30 requirement that are developed. Mr. Strickland's brought that
Yeah.
map as well. This would essentially make 2 20,000 square foot lots, 20,000 plus square foot lots, and you're still able to develop the same size housing, still meet the setbacks, but you're not, it goes from being like right under a 3/4 acre lot to a half-acre lot.
But I think what you're saying, you were asking if there's houses on the other lots.
Just 1 house on those lots versus
Yes.
none of the rest
And they
have
are.
2 houses on a lot that size.
Yeah, well, it still wouldn't be 2 houses.
Like in our community, they're all small. I think we're R20.
That would become 2 lots.
So, yeah,
He
but
he
I
would
just,
ultimately do legal proceedings to make it 2 lots instead of 1 lot.
Correct.
And then he would build 2 homes.
And I do have some maps here to show you guys, you know, right across the street from this lot, where
yeah, they're
several
small.
lots across there, it is not even close to R30. They're not close to 30,000 square feet, if you'd like for me to pass them out.
I think the question was, if somebody was on one of those R30s and built a house, it'd be one house. You're gonna take the same basic lot and put two houses on it.
Right, that lot would be split into.
Well,
two
yeah,
parcels
I
before
get
we
that.
do
I think the question was, if I bought the one across the street that was, well, it's not even, you say it's not even R30 in size. It is zoned R30, isn't it? But it's not actually R30
By size.
by
There's a-
size.
There's a, Mr. Strickland, do you want to show them those maps? You can pass them around. Tom.
Light colored yellow, all this is on R30, but the light colored yellows are smaller than R30. And the little blank lot across the street on the corner.
The one he's trying to put two houses on. So that one's small. It still doesn't look like any of them would be as small as what he's gonna create. Unless it's these two.
These are all R20. This is the subdivision back there.
You would match them,
Mhm.
just in a different development.
This is the same development.
I'm
This is
okay.
just-
Okay.
That's more R10.
So I'm curious, the planning board denied this. I'm curious why they denied it.
They denied it because they, I can go down to that.
They said they were due to disruptiveness. What
Yes.
does, can you elaborate on that?
So they said it was disruptive to the current neighborhood, however, the density matches the future land use plan and the comprehensive development plan. So, while my recommendation was to approve it, the planning board, you know, they made their motion to deny it. And I think it kind of, it threw everybody off, but we also understand, like, you know, people want to protect R30 and that 30,000 square foot requirement. They were
Yeah.
a little confused and thought it was spot zoning at first, and I educated them on that. This is not spot zoning because to the west of it, there's an adjacent R20 lot that's directly touching it. So again, I think it was based off of opinion of that neighborhood and a consensus of the opinion for that neighborhood.
If you take it in perspective of today's building of housing developments, they're a tenth of an acre, some of them are. This is a half acre,
Well,
this
we
is,
live
this
the
is,
same way.
they will not even notice.
Yeah.
This is really huge compared
Right.
to what, where they're building them.
Yeah, my defense would be that, I mean, a house doesn't even doesn't stay on the market anytime before it's sold. We're in demands for homes right now, so I can see would benefit having two versus, and you're still gonna have a lot of yard.
Yeah. In today's day and time, it's, a half acre is huge.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there any history of why that was on R30 over there?
I do not have the history on that. I know it was adopted and approved by the Board of Commissioners in 2019. Harold can.
No, just context. That delineation on the map, if you go back to it, is the breaking point between Forest Hills was initially developed.
And the old,
And then
the
new
old, the
Forest
new
Hills
and the
is
new.
the R20.
Okay,
So the R30 was what was platted.
Yeah.
Okay.
40s or 60s,
Yeah.
I can't remember
Okay.
what time frame, and it was all R30.
okay. I was trying to figure out why it jumped
So
from
if we
one
had-
to the other.
So if we had original zoning back that far, how were the lots approved that small?
Yeah, the ones across the street are like 28,000 square feet. The one directly across from this. But the ones in that cul-de-sac are very large lots.
Right.
Well,
So
all of
them are very large.
most of that was never in Aberdeen to start with. Very little of it.
So the houses are gonna face Longleaf Circle or Longleaf Road?
The houses would be facing Longleaf.
Yeah,
Circle.
yeah, one could face the circle and the other one could face road. It just
I think
depends on the orientation.
both of them face the.
You gonna have them
if
both
that's
face
way he
the
was gonna
cul-de-sac road?
No.
Or the
Both of
main
them would
road?
face Longleaf Road.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, okay. I think that would be better.
And then just to show the future land use map, I know this is a small picture, but it does fit the future land use map density for low-density residential.
Any other questions for Mr. Strickland? Because I have two more people. Do you have any other comment? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And, Mr. Sasser.
Thank you, Board and Mayor. I'm Greg Sasser. I actually sell Tommy's houses for him, and I'm just here to speak to Strickland Construction. He does, I've been selling for 16 years. He does sell a superior house, great quality, and he does keep in mind, and as your maps show, the flow to the community, it's important to have lots big enough. Half acre in the country is still huge. And we've looked at that, and in the past, we've even, like you said, combined the 3 lots and 2. Could we made more money on the 3? Yes, but it just didn't look right in the community. So we're just trying for that flow, and the orange and the yellow, we are actually more smaller than 30,000 in that community now as it sits. And I've worked with Tommy years, and he actually brings neighborhood values up when he works in there. On the last page, I kind of included the last sales in the last year. The top 4 houses that have sold in Forest Hill are Strickland Construction houses. All of them have sold, not price-wise, but per foot, have sold more than any other house in that subdivision because of he puts in under-counter lightings, granite, tile in the baths. Those are standard features that a lot of these builders would just slam a house up. He does not. So I just wanted to speak to that and how it, and it's important that it flows, and we wouldn't have bought the lot if we didn't think it would flow with the neighborhood. Because one house we'd have to build a $700,000-800,000 house to make the financial end work on that. And just to speak to Tommy's character, we did another subdivision in Aberdeen, I won't name it, but a year later after he built, there was a drainage issue that the developer was responsible for, not him. Well, Tommy last week, nobody knows, wrote the 2 property owners checks to take care of it. Didn't have to, it's after a year. But it speaks to his character, of the person he is, and what he does in the subdivision.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Since those are R30s on our books, are we going to go through this again?
I think we would, well, if it's adjacent to an R20.
But if it's
and
not,
undeveloped.
but if it's not, what happens then?
Well, if it's not adjacent to an R20, then it stays R30.
It stays R30.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
But I think a lot of those lots are already built out.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Right. But if there was an undeveloped lot there, and it was bought, and they brought it to the board, it would have to be touching an R20, otherwise it would be spot zoning.
Right, I mean, you look at some of these that are maybe vacant, the size, this one is like in a corner, there's a lot of different things that make it more suitable for 20 versus some of these that are in the middle that are spot zone, the way I see it. So I'd say if we come back with it again, Mayor, we just have to look at it individually.
Yeah.
Each one individually to see what we think would
On this one, if you
work.
I know this is just a little bit off subject, but I'm trying to get my head around this. 611?
Mm-hmm.
You see 611? There's 2 611s on there. What does that mean? You don't have the map. There's a 611 and there's a 611. Then it says 609. So 611,
usually only 2 lots the same number, unless it's like a.
Right, I see what you're saying. It does look like there's two lots right there that say 611.
that one
And one is definitely
looks like
probably only 10,000 square feet.
well, it may be an unopened, it's probably an unopened road or something, or easement.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Right, there's some areas in town where you can't build on.
That
They have an
little
area
one
like
is
that,
probably
it's just between homes, it's not
I don't
built.
know that, but I speculate, you see how small it is.
Yeah.
I
is a lot, the one to the left, would be unable to develop on the sides of it.
Yeah,
I can just tell by looking at it.
sure.
The R30s and the ones that are less than 30,000 feet, they're mixed together here, all in here. So, yeah.
And just for clarification, the planning board turned it down, is that right?
The planning board recommended denial, while staff recommended approval. Based off of the comprehensive development plan and the future land use map, this is exactly what the Board of Commissioners has adopted and approved, and it falls right in line with the commissioners and the mayor's vision. So, staff believes that this should be approved.
Yeah.
Okay. Any others? Any other questions or comments from the board?
Make a motion.
I know there's a resident here that says she mailed something in. She might need to speak if she didn't.
Just come on up and state your name and address.
No, because I was gonna just have her, because I wasn't planning on being here, because I was supposed to be out of town.
Would you get through, would you please fill out a
Yeah.
form?
Yeah. So just bear with me, I'm gonna put the speakers.
That's fine.
Okay, I just want to say, good evening, board. My name is Rebecca Watts, and I live on Longwood Circle. I would like to have, let's see, I'm writing a statement in response to the Strickland Construction Development request to rezone partial one, PID, 200600496 in Forest Hills. The property in question sits directly beside my property, which is located on Longwood Circle. First off, I would like to start off by making it abundantly clear that I do not oppose building on the property. What I, myself, and residents on Longleaf Circle, with all tall, are opposed to is splitting this lot. Let's see, we don't want it split and have two separate builds on it. If you just look at the property surrounding this lot, our cul-de-sac in particular has five homes on it already. If I'm not mistaken, we are the only cul-de-sac in the older part of Forest Hills. Every home on my cul-de-sac sits on at least 1 acre, give or take. The aesthetics alone make the cul-de-sac very desirable. A developer should not be allowed to buy a lot and give the right an opportunity to bypass any declarations, covenants, and/or bylaws that are in place for said neighborhood. I understand that the lot is 0.97 acres, which is just under an acre. It is also my understanding that each dwelling in Forest Hills must sit on at least half an acre or larger. If you just ride through the neighborhood, you can visibly see the difference between Forest Hills and Forest Hills Point. It's actually a pretty clear difference. Therefore, it makes no sense in splitting this property in order to have two dwellings built on it. I have viewed several deeds in Forest Hills, and they all state the same information as following, as my deed states as well, that you're only allowed to have one dwelling built per lot. You also have to have this particular dwelling at least sit 50 feet from all streets and 30 feet from the side and rear property lines. If you look at the property in person, you'll clearly see that given those restrictions, this property is not feasible to split. Based upon this information alone, we should not allow this property to be divided into two. It is also my understanding that Strickland Construction has built a few homes in the Forest Hills Point, which is an extension of Forest Hills. However, the lot in question is not Forest Hills Point. This particular lot sits in the older section of Forest Hills. The whole process is simply driven by greed. If you allow Strickland Construction Development to split this lot in order to line the pockets more, you're setting a very slippery precedent for future developments in Aberdeen. By allowing this, you're basically indicating the declarations, covenants, and/or bylaws means absolutely nothing. Just because a developer has the money doesn't make it right. If it was a regular citizen that purchased this land, we would not be here, and to say otherwise is absurd. In closing, I ask the board to please do the right thing, keep this particular lot as one. Forest Hills is a very well-established older neighborhood with bigger lots, something that is extremely hard to find nowadays. Again, I ask you to please do the right thing.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
comments? Please fill out a form,
Yeah, okay, thank you.
so we'll have a record of who you are. Thank you.
Yeah, that's just a little bit of my concern, because where we moved, we already knew we were like butted up against somebody in our neighbor. So we know that in advance, but when you move somewhere and you're expecting to have more space, if you're living right beside those homes, you may feel smothered. I'd like to see the lot before I make a vote on it.
He's got it right there.
Yeah, but I'd like to ride by there. I'm sorry I did not earlier.
So have you looked at the bylaws and the covenants that are set forth by that subdivision?
If there's an HOA, I have not looked at the HOA. I've only looked at what's in the UDO, what's in the future land use plan, what's in the comprehensive development plan. And I want to remind the board that this isn't a vote on dividing a lot, as Ms. Watts had stated. This is a vote on a zoning map amendment.
That's right. So we're not voting to.
No, I agree. But if there's bylaws and covenants, if we change the zoning,
There's not an HOA, I don't believe.
If there's such bylaws and covenants, which I'm certain there are, we don't enforce those.
okay.
That'd be a private right to enforce, and I hope the applicant has researched that, because even if they got the rezoning and there's covenants that override that, he could be completely out of luck in building two houses there. I don't know, I'm just saying, if those covenants can be enforced, that's a private right, we don't enforce those as a town.
Okay, that's where I wanted
Yep.
somebody to address it, so,
Yep.
okay, thank you, Paul.
And when it comes to staff, we look at the UDO,
Right.
again,
What we have.
comprehensive development plan, future land use map, and we go by what's black and white. When it comes to a zoning map amendment, we look at the consistency with the adopted plans and the reasonableness to the public interest, while it's tied to the density of the future land use map. By doing so, we come to our analysis that this does fit within everything, and it should be approved based on what's written in section 2520C of the UDO.
The issue tonight is not dividing the lot, it's just rezoning the property.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
So the vote would be one way or the other, keep it at R30 or change it to R20, is that correct?
That's correct.
So that's where we are.
So Mayor, if there's no more public comment, I don't think there is, I'd recommend you close the public hearing at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make the motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now,
Mr. Mayor and board members, we did go through all our procedural requirements for the planning board and the board of commissioners with public notice, mail notice, and posted notices. And then, based off of this, the planning board did make their recommendations. Motion 1 was recommendation of approval, 7-0, recognizing consistency with the applicable plans of the town of Aberdeen. The second motion was recommended denial, 4-2, stating it was not reasonable in the public interest due to the non-compatibility of existing neighborhood. Motion 3 was recommend for denial overall, 4-2, stating it's disruptive with the rezoning. The applicant was present and addressed the planning board's questions. Our findings, again, are that they are consistent with the future land use map and the comprehensive land development plan, and that it is reasonable within the public's interest. It's considered reasonable in the public interest as it matches the existing land use map and the future land use map, showing this parcel as low-density residential, both current and as requested, and is supported by 4 of the goals in the comprehensive land development plan.
I don't know, if you look at this map, there, so many of them, they're all mixed up, so there's a lot of them that's under 30,000. It's not, we're not going in changing completely
The
because.
overall aesthetics of
There's
the
already
neighborhood.
some that's under 30,000, I mean, quite a few, right, in that area. If you look at this,
The problem, well, a lot of them that are probably that's smaller than R30 have already have a house on them,
yeah.
just
Yeah,
one.
they do have one house. Yeah, but, I mean, the one that's under 30,000, they have one house. But then this one that he's talking about, we're talking about, which usually we're splitting, if we put two of those small ones together, we're looking at here, wouldn't that possibly be equivalent to this 97.97 acres that he's talking about?
Can I ask
I
the,
think when it comes to it, you have to look at my recommendation is look at what's currently there and what could currently be if it was approved by the board. And that's, from staff's perspective, it doesn't change the future land use map.
I had a question. The lady who spoke, did she say she lived in lot 120?
Yes.
Okay. So both of those houses' backyards will jut up to her next door? So she'll be hearing, I mean, I know because I live in that kind of a community. She'll be actually, have two families butted up to her house, which I have like 3 or 4, but anyway, I know what you're saying. So I can see her perspective as well as ours too, being that it's, what is the difference? There's others in the community, but I don't see anyone that might have 2 backyards butting up to another side yard.
If this were to change,
They're already small.
it won't come back to the board as far as splitting the lot.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
What was that?
I said, if this were to change, it would not come back to this board if they were asked to split the lot. It would not. So if this changes, I'm right, is that right, Paul?
It will not come back, that's right.
Yeah,
It'd be
if
just an
the
in-house.
board votes tonight to change it from R30 to R20, whatever the owner of the lot does would not come back to us.
People behind her house, 3 yards.
Yes. All right, let's see, the board's wishes tonight.
I'll make a motion that zoning map 7A 2302 is consistent with applicable plans of the town of Aberdeen.
Second.
There is a second.
Given the fact that the R20 is just basically diagonally across the street, I mean, I don't see it being inconsistent with the rest of the neighborhood. And actually, one beside it's R20.
Further discussion? Here. Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? We're looking at the existing lots that are there. We're not going to have to take that into consideration, but there are existing R30s with houses on them next to this piece of property.
True.
All right, it's motion and a second. Any further discussion?
These aren't that big either. It wasn't this far enough.
All right. Are we ready to vote, or is there other questions? Comments?
I'm ready.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
3 ayes and 2 nays, is that 3 ayes and 2 nays.
You got 2 more motions.
Yep. On that one, let's go to the next one.
Second motion, vote, Mr. Mayor.
This is motion 2. The zoning map amendment ZA number 23-02 is reasonable and in the public interest.
So motion, is there a second?
I got a question for you. You were saying that staff's behind this 100%, basically, that it meets all the town requirements.
Yes.
Why in this motion and the first motion, it says is considered by staff to be not consistent then?
That's just the alternative.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you have both motions, one's positive, one's negative.
Okay, I
So
just
it's
want to
just-
make sure that
it's just putting
that's
the
not
framework out there.
confusing from.
That's right.
These
the
are the
public.
choices, yeah.
It's the two
Yeah,
options.
that's
Sorry,
fine.
you almost got me there. I was like, wait a minute.
Well, it was confusing to me too, because I was like, okay.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Somebody make the
Jim?
motion?
I made the motion.
Is there a second to this one? All right, fails for not a second. That one fails without a second.
So now, Mayor, that fails for not a second, so what I recommend is that you now have a motion, the other motion, that it is not reasonable, not in the public interest.
Okay. Zoning map amendment ZA number 23-02 is not reasonable and is not in the public interest.
That's the motion, is there a second? There is a second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
I'm sorry, could y'all, we need a clear aye on
Yeah,
the
I
affirmative
heard-
action. I mean,
I
I'm barely hearing
heard
people
3
speak.
ayes, but I only heard 1 no.
Yeah, so can you recast
Need
the,
somebody else to
Okay.
vote.
I make a motion that the zoning map amendment ZA 23-02 is not reasonable and is not in the public interest. And the reason why is it's not in, it's not in compliance with the other lots in the neighborhood of the older Forest Hills.
There was a second. Discussion. There was a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this?
Aye.
All
There's
nays?
still 3s.
Mayor, can you
You're the
just,
one that
Mayor,
had voted.
listen, we gotta just, let's just do a roll call. All those in favor of the motion, we'll start that in.
Aye.
Beavers.
Aye.
This last motion, no.
No.
All right, so it's 3-2 in favor that it's,
Not reasonable and not in the public interest.
right.
Then third motion, either to approve or deny the zoning map amendment.
I make a motion that we deny the zoning map amendment ZA 23-02 based on it's not in compliance with the older sections of Forest Hills.
Is there a second? There's a second. Gotta speak up now. They're not getting this on the microphones if you're not speaking up. All right, there is a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor of this motion?
Aye.
Not in favor of it?
Aye.
Aye.
There's 2 to 3.
So that motion fails.
Motion.
Somebody needs to make a motion to approve the zoning map amendment now.
Sorry, what?
We need somebody to make a motion to approve the zoning map
All right.
amendment ZA 23-02.
I'll make a motion that we approve the zoning map amendment ZA 23-02.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
There is a second.
The motion to approve it.
There was a motion and a second.
Right, right.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Mayor, again, I'm
Now,
sorry.
We need to have a vote.
We have got to have a clear aye or nay. I can only hear two of you, and I'm sitting right here.
I can't either, and I'm
So we
sitting
got
up
to do
here.
it by roll call or some other way.
We got microphones,
Please
y'all
be
got
clear.
to speak into the microphones. We're not picking this up.
No,
at all.
we're not at all. So the motion is to deny this.
No,
It's
motion
to
is to
approve. I'm sorry,
approve.
motion to approve, yeah, I'll get it right. Motion to approve the zoning map request. And again, let's just start in the end, because that seems to be the best way. Motion to approve this request.
No.
Yes.
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 So that's
There you
3-2.
go.
Thank you. So Mayor, the motion passes. That's it.
It does. All right. That was B and C, correct? No, B. Yeah, we're down to C.
C.
Down to C. All right, I'll close that out and go to C. Special use permit SU 2301 requested by Reliance Packaging for material changes on the parcel submitted as parcel ID number 000-46225, totaling 5.2 acres, addressed at 155 Anderson Street.
Mayor and board, before you guys open the public hearing, I'd like to receive an approval vote to recuse myself from participating in this agenda item, as I'm the one who prepared the plans for the company that I work for.
You prepared the plans for it?
Hmm?
You prepared the plans?
Yes,
for
sir.
it?
I'm intimately involved with this project, not monetarily, but I have a lot of insight. So
Means Robbie's going to get the vote.
I make a motion that we recuse Commissioner Bowles from the
There's a motion
vote.
to recuse Commissioner Bowles. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're recused. All right. This is a public hearing.
Make a motion, we open the public hearing.
I make a second.
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Reliance Packaging is quasi-judicial, so I'm going to have Tammy swear me in.
Do you solemnly affirm, swear that testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Is anyone else going to speak on this matter?
Yes. Mr. Smith?
All right, if you're going to speak on this matter, you need to be
Open a
sworn in,
public
please.
hearing. We have to open a public hearing, don't we, before we can speak?
They have to be sworn.
Okay, sorry.
Do you solemnly affirm, swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes.
Okay, so Reliance Packaging submitted a special use permit in section 2512 Foxtrot 2, application CR Uniform 23-01 for 155 1 through 175 Anderson Street. The material changes requested address height and design standards that are included in the previously approved conditional use permit, CU 14-04, and minor modification, Mike 1705, have created a non-conforming property. These changes are necessary due to the renovations of the existing building, fire suppression, upgrades and modifications to allow new machinery. The current zoning is light industrial, and the parcel is identified by a 0046225. It's approximately 5.2 acres and serves two road frontages of US Highway 5 and Anderson Street. So the existing conditional use permit was a commercial light industrial district, which requires the CUP for manufacturing uses. And the existing buildings accommodate a similar type of manufacturing in the past, but have been vacant for several years. Under the table of permissible uses, Reliance Packaging falls under the description of a manufacturing business. 110, all operations conducted entirely within a full enclosed building, and all manufacturing and assembling of goods require a CUP in the commercial industrial district. Continuing on, the recommended conditions of the existing permit were that they run with the land, and as such, the CUP applies to the entirety of the property reflected within the parcel. The approval of the CUP is contingent on the approval of the site and building plans through interdepartmental review processes, or TRC. All required permits from the regulatory agencies must be in place prior to the notice to proceed provided by the planning department. The final site plan must include a detailed landscape plan and address landscaping to the screen requirements. The project will be expected to comply with the landscaping and screening requirements of the UDO, including shade tree requirements for the parking tree. Approval of CUP shall not imply approval of signage. The sign permit applications consistent with the requirements of the UDO shall be reviewed and approved with the department prior to installation. Finally, the facility operations will be required to comply with the Town of Aberdeen noise regulation. This CUP was approved September 17th of 2014. Background, they received their CUP approval on the September 15th of 2014 for the plastic manufacturing facility. The property having Moore County PIN 856-012-95872. On 24 April 2017, the Aberdeen Board of Commissioners approved the modification to the conditional use permit that allowed the maximum building height of 60 feet for any and all structures on the property, with the regular height requirement being 55. They came for a modification because they needed the 60-foot. The request for the minor modification of the CUP 14-04 was hereby approved subject to the modification requirements identified above and authorized by the Town of Aberdeen Board of Commissioners, 24 April 2017. So in the minutes, just for a quick background on it, there was a discussion on as-built appearance and reliant packaging for building addition. Director Graham stated Mr. Sharma has contacted planning staff and asked the board's approval to waive the request that additional paint colors be applied. This was a part of the elevations of the facade, and they were able to get that granite through a 4-1 motion that unanimously carried. So the current request is to take that height requirement, the old minor modification, from 60 up to 71 feet, and the request is for material changes. Building facades is for approval of the metal wall panels that are vertical like an existing panels on the existing building that were previously approved by the Board of Commissioners. So what they're asking for is the extra 11 feet and to continue the same facade that they had already had approved. So the site plan is required prior to the development. We've already done some pre-reviews and talks back and forth with them and looked at the standards and been in depth talks with them about what they needed to do to get this approved or to take it to the board. When the property develops, staff again will address all the traffic concerns, egress, ingress, and driveways. It will go through the development guide. As we look at it, it may trigger a traffic impact analysis, and we'll determine if that TIA is required when the site plan is submitted. So for the comprehensive land development plan adopted in 2019, it utilizes the FLUME, or future land use map, and currently approved CUP for light industrial zoning. Staff will show the definition of industrial zoning uses allowed and the area displayed in applicability. Below you see the definition. I'm going to bore you by reading it. we went through, and there are 4 goals within the comprehensive land development plan that it's met. Goal 1, 2, 5, and 7. And then at this time, I'll turn it over to the applicant if they have anything to say.
Hello, everybody. I'm Neil Smith from Neil Smith Engineering, and I'm here basically just to answer your questions, but I thought I'd put it a little bit in layman's terms of what we're doing with this project to help you understand a little bit. So I'm sure you're familiar with it, going up Highway 5, and it's on the left, and the new section that we built in 2017 is for a plastic extrusion tower, and extrusion means pull. And they pull the we manufacture the plastic, and then it goes up through rollers, and it's a very tall piece of tower machinery that goes inside the building. So that's what we did in 2017, and Satish is expanding again and wants to put, there's actually the building that we're going to put will hold 2 extrusion towers. We're putting 1 in, one it would be a future. So the footprint of the building actually doesn't change at all. It's the same footprint, but there's a section of that building that was very old. It was built out of wood. It's a wood structure inside this building, and it's been covered up with metal panel. And we're removing all the wood from the building to make it safer. And in that spot, 60 by 60, which is a little bit bigger than this room, but square, we're putting two of these towers. So it goes right in the middle of that existing building, but it goes up kind of tall, like the one that is taller out there. This will kind of be matching it on the other part of the building. So we're just going up, removing that section and building it right in that same location. So we'll have to bring in some large cranes and drop the new structure and pull everything out. And we want to, and it needs to be covered to take care of it, and this new extrusion tower is about 10, 11 feet taller than the old one, so that's why we're asking for this increase. He's also sprinkling the entire building, so from a fire safety standpoint, it's going to be much better. We're getting rid of wood, we're sprinkling the building, and expanding his manufacturing operation, which is always a good thing for the community.
So when you built the tower, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. So when you built the tower that we saw, some of us visited it, did I see something here about painting? Did you have to paint the outside to match the other part of the building, or was it metal that's already that color?
So we're proposing just metal panels, just like the rest of the structure. Back in 2017, there was a part of the original conditional use from 2014 required in the light industrial that it had different colored painting.
Mm-hmm.
And the metal panels, they're a Kynar baked paint on these panels, and you can't paint them like you can normal siding because it doesn't stick. So the panels come that way.
Okay.
So that's why we came back and asked the board to have that changed back in 2017, I guess it was.
I know I was on the board when this came up the first time. If you had a different color panel, the same size and same material, is there a monetary difference in what's out there if you change part of the color on it? What we got at the first time was this thing was obviously, what was it, 50 feet or 60 feet, whatever it was, 60 feet. I think the board at that time was trying to dress it up best we could with a 60-foot tower on that hill up there. It didn't work. I mean, we didn't get any color change. I'm just wondering if we're going up to 70 feet plus, is there a chance to modify some of the paneling a different color, just to break it up there? I mean, it's going to look like kind of like a monolith up there.
I would think so, yeah. I think if the panels were ordered different colors, then...
I mean, not the whole thing, but, we're looking at
portions of
some
it. I don't-
aesthetics to
I
it.
think that probably But the panels would have to be ordered.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
But you've got a 60-foot one, and there'll be a 70-foot one beside it, and they're all the same. If we
So-
didn't change something,
So I think we could,
it'd all be
we
the
could
same
probably
color.
get some different panels.
It
and
doesn't
get
have to
some-
be the whole outside, or just, you do this for a living, you know where I'm trying to go with this.
Yeah.
It kind of, part of it be one color and part of the other color. Just because of the, coming down Highway 5, which is gonna be a 4-lane highway.
Yeah.
And it's just a big operation. And it's, I don't know if we can't tell you to do it, but it would help us.
I don't think it's probably not much of a problem. I think the last time the problem was is they weren't ordered that way, and all the panels came, and
They all came the same color.
And then when you start repainting them.
Yeah,
it's a little
well, you
different.
can't,
So
we're not
there-
asking to paint them. I
Yeah,
mean,
there is different colors that you.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that.
So I think we can do something architectural and try to dress that up.
Anything else? Anybody else?
What is it you manufacture there?
It's plastic sheets, or like a roll sheeting, plastic
Okay.
extruded plastic.
They produce plastic bags.
And
Like
they're
fertilizer
like-
bags.
They're like 8-foot rolls.
Mulch bags,
And then
anything.
the original roll is, 1,000 feet or something.
It's quite an operation. If you haven't been in it, it is quite an operation. If you can get with the owner, and he would be willing to let you come in and walk through and see it. If you have not seen it, it's remarkable that this is going on in Aberdeen. It's a huge operation. I don't know how many bags you produce a day, but I know it's a lot. And these bags are used all over the country. So, all right, anybody else? This is a public hearing. Anyone else wants to speak on this public hearing? Anyone? All right, I'll close the public hearing, and then we'll go to number 2, consider approval of special use permit issue 2301.
Mr. Mayor, before you get to your motion, I will just say that the planning board did make their recommendations with motion 1 was 6-0, all in favor. Motion 2, 6-0, all in favor. Motion 3 and motion 4, all 6-0 in favor of approving the extension of the height requirement from 60 to 71 feet. And then, as well as motion 5, 6, and final motion of 7 was all approved with a 6-0 vote by the planning board. Staff had done their recommendation as well, and makes a recommendation to approve this as well.
I make a motion that we issue special use permit SU 23-01, and that it's within the jurisdiction of the planning board according to the table of permissible uses.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, so that motion carries. Thank you. Motion 2.
I make a motion that special use permit issue -23-01 is complete as submitted.
I second.
Motion and a second. Discussion from the board. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Thank you.
Make a motion number 3, special use permit issue -23-01 satisfies finding number 1, will not materially endanger the public health or safety if located where proposed.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'll make a motion that special use permit issue 2301 satisfies finding number 2, which complies with all required standards, conditions, and specifications of the Unified Development Ordinance.
Second.
There was a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Special use permit number issue -23-01 satisfies finding number 3, will will be in harmony with the area in which it is located.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I make a motion that special use permit issue 23-0 satisfies finding number 4 and will be in general conformity with the town's adopted policy guidance.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
I recommend approval of special use permit issue 23-01 to the Board of Commissioners.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I do have a question for Mr. Smith. What's the height requirement for a aviation blinking light? That's a 7-story building. I don't know that. I'm just saying, we don't have a 7-story building in Aberdeen, and I don't know how, I don't know where we are on the glide path with the airport and the Moore County Airport.
I'm sure it's shorter than the trees in my yard, though.
It may be. Well, unless you got a 7-story tree, you may have one. Yeah, they grow pine trees that tall. I'm just curious. I don't know that. And that land, if people aren't familiar with, that was an airport at one time. That was a grass runway over there. Matter of fact, I think it's, what is it, Taylor Street? Taylor Street was a runway. And I think the building that's inside that you're going to demolish was part of that airport.
It was probably a hangar.
It may have been a hangar. It was a hangar.
It really was, okay.
Yeah, it was, Taylor Chemical had
Just
an
curious,
airplane.
joking.
Taylor Chemical Company was on that site, and they had a single-engine airplane. And the pilot worked for Taylor Chemical, and he flew that plane all over the United States with samples, way back before computers. So we're talking about in the 50s and 60s and probably in the 70s. I'm not sure how far back, but it was a long way back. But that's the reason that wooden building's inside there, because it was one of the hangars. So there we are. Anyway, is that it? You got it? Thank you. All right, let me close this out.
Yes, please.
Yeah, he needs to come back.
We need another motion for a public hearing on this next one.
It isn't one.
No,
Yeah, it's gonna be one over there.
the 72.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. On the
740.
backside, it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I see it now.
Mhm.
Okay,
Everything passed.
we're down to D, which is zoning map amendment ZA 2301 submitted by DGH Management to rezone 3 parcels located at the previous site of the old Aberdeen Primary School, totaling approximately 7.24 acres for residential single-family, R10 to neighborhood commercial. And this is a public hearing.
Another redundancy, but again, DSG Management submitted an
Don't we need a vote to open the public hearing?
I'm
I'll
sorry.
make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Second.
All right, there is a second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We're open.
All right, so again, DSG Management submitted their application for the zoning map amendment of 3 parcels from residential R10 to neighborhood commercial. The parcels in question are parcel ID 000-45974, 000-52490, and 000-53334. So just a quick discussion on the difference between residential R10 and neighborhood commercial. The R10 district is established to accommodate principally single-family detached dwellings developed in the density of 10,000 square feet per lot. and development served by public water and sewer. Complementary uses such as open space, schools, utilities, religious institutions, and recreational facilities are also allowed. District regulations discourage any use that interferes with the development of single-family detached dwellings or that is detrimental to the residential neighborhood of the district. While neighborhood commercial district is established to primarily accommodate low to moderate intensity office, retail, and personal services uses adjacent to and within residential neighborhoods. In addition to commercial uses, the district also allows a variety of residential and institutional uses and standalone structures, as well as mixed-use developments. This is the comparison of the overall density. With the residential R10, you're able to put 5 residents per acre with the density of 12 per in neighborhood commercial. Existing conditions, it's 7.24 acres and served with approximately 700 feet of street frontage along Debnant Street and approximately 800 feet along Kaiser Street. The 2 parcels appear to be undeveloped, and 1 parcel currently houses the formal Aberdeen primary school structures. All parcels are adjacent to R10 and neighborhood commercial and various use types. The 7.24 acres allows for the following density per each zoning. R10, again, 5 units per acre with a maximum of 36 units, and with neighborhood commercial allowing 12 units per acre, which could fit up to 86 units, along with residential and other commercial and office uses. All development is subject to development standards contained within the UDO and our development regulations, and this can impact the maximum buildable density. This is the adjacent zoning. To the north, you have neighborhood commercial. To the east, south, and west, you have residential R10 commercial with single-family attached dwellings. This is the current zoning map. If you see up here where the pink is, this is your abutting neighborhood commercial with the 3 parcels in question outlined in blue, totaling 7.2 acres and running down Kaiser, Harris, and Debnant Street.
What's the other street to the north?
This road right here,
Yes.
that's Highway 211.
I just want to make sure everybody knew where we were at.
Highway 211. And the school sits right about here.
So that area is zoned for commercial, but there's nothing up there at this point.
There is no commercial currently here.
On this side of 211. but on the
No,
other
I think
side-
there's a small residential house right here in the
Yeah, it is.
But on the,
top
but
right.
on the other side, what's on the other side?
Other side through here?
211.
Oh, 211?
Is that where House of
Old
Fish
House
used to
of
be?
Fish.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
across the street. Used to be the House of Fish.
So existing zoning serves as a primary residential corridor. Per the principal use table 4-1-9, allowable use by right types for residential single-family R10 is limited. It includes use types for residential use classifications, includes use types for institutional use classification, includes one use type from commercial use classification, includes no use type for industrial use classifications. With all the zoning map amendments, it's important to understand that this parcel will not have conditions attached to the procedure, and should the applicant be granted the request zoning district, all permitted by right uses would be allowed per the table permitted in the permitted use table within the UDO 4-1.9. These are the differences in the permitted uses by R10 to the left and by neighborhood commercial to the right. I'll give you a minute to digest that.
So can I make a suggestion in future ones like this, when you give on this particular slide, could you highlight the additional ones that's different?
The differences?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
like we know what the current zone is. Could you highlight the ones on the other what's being added if we change it? That way, it's a a little quicker for us to see what's going on,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Too
Thank you,
easy.
sir.
What precipitated the change in the zoning? What is the plan, I guess I should say,
What's the plan for?
for the property to be zoned,
We
rezoned?
we can let the owner talk about that, but this is, and I'll remind the board that this is strictly a rezoning.
Yeah, I understand that.
We can't put any conditions onto the development. So again, the developer could come in and say, hey, I want to do A through Z, and then they come in and do something completely different if it was to be approved.
I understand that. I just want to know if he's going to put a cemetery there, if he's going to
Yes.
put a daycare center. I'm just curious. Can't ask that.
Yeah, that's the problem with a straight rezoning, we don't have any controls over that.
Yeah.
We can't hold him.
I know that.
Yeah, in other words, we can't ask, it's just straight rezoning.
He can offer.
Or he can offer.
He can offer, yes.
And that's not binding either.
I know.
Do you have anything else in background, John, or is that it?
No, Commissioner Beavers asked me to keep this up just for a second.
Yeah, just so I could read
digest
it
a
all.
little
I
bit
haven't
more.
had a chance to see what all could be put on there, if he chose to do that. Triplex and quadplex, could you explain that? Is that
A
just?
triplex, it's like a duplex but with three,
Okay.
or quad has four within one unit versus, a duplex only having two.
So apartment complex?
So like townhomes or apartment
Yeah,
complexes.
But like stacked apartments is not on here.
You could put, so under neighborhood commercial, you could put up to 12 units per 1 acre.
12
And we don't
units.
apply residential standards to builders.
Right. But you could build, my question is, you could put an apartment complex here.
If it was rezoned,
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. Convenience store, fuel pumps.
True, well, I can read all those, but
Yeah, yeah.
when it says just triplex, that's 3, quad is 4, but I didn't know if it was 4 high or 4 across or.
let me know when you're done with this.
Okay, that should be enough.
Go ahead.
Good? All right. So, again, like all the other ones, transportation, the site plan is required for development and approved TRC for compliance with all the UDO standards. And when property develops, staff addresses traffic concerns, egress, ingress, and driveways. The same with the TIA or traffic impact analysis. Sections of development guide may be required and held to a standard, and the staff will determine if TIA would be required with the site plan as submitted by a specific use type that's called out. And then at this time, I will ask that you open it up for the developer or whoever else has filled out to speak, Mr. Mayor.
I don't know if anybody signed, I don't think anybody signed it. We don't have anybody signed up.
With the applicant?
Or if you want to speak without
Yeah, you just need to, Jackson, just fill out one of those forms. You can fill it out at the top.
fill it out.
Straightforward. I want to put in a subdivision in there, and I want to tear the school down. And in order to be able to do that, I need a higher density than what's on the table now. And what I want to build is townhouses. I never saw where you could build apartments. I don't know if that's true or not, but I didn't see even with the neighborhood commercial where you could build apartments. I want to build townhouses. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage.
So a triplex.
Excuse me?
A triplex.
It says up to 8, and because the fire has to get in between the units, the more units you can attach up to that would help as far as leaving more open space. Because I want a lot of open space in there because I'm sure families are going to rent these or buy these.
Are you planning on keeping the gym, or is it going?
Yes.
Keep the gym?
That'll be an amenity, and the community will be able to use it we've already, I don't even know how many people have already used it. We've had dodgeball tournament, bingo, just a lot of variety of people have already used it. We don't charge, they just have to clean it up when they're done.
Further questions? This is just, the zoning. We're just doing the zoning.
But with the neighborhood commercial, would we still be able to leave the gymnasium? Is that still?
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason why we picked neighborhood commercial is because it's there. Office institutional would have been better, because it would have limited the open end of it. You know, what can be there, but there's no office institutional around.
You don't have the existing neighborhood behind this, do you? I know you've got a map that shows the two on the highway, but if you look at the map in yellow.
This is based off of the future land use map here.
All the yellow is what?
This is, it is, well, it can fit different Rs based off of the density with it, and that current density is medium density.
A lot of the property that's there now doesn't meet the R10 zoning.
No, yeah. Same with the last project that we just looked at.
Yeah.
Traditionally, this has been a residential neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
Other than the school. And it's still single family residential.
But there's no homes till you pass the school, if I recall. I go that way home a lot. I don't know that there's any actual homes, are there, till you actually get up past the school? Is there just one?
Corner.
Yeah, there's one on the corner, and DOT bought that.
Right.
But if you
It's
go
not
down
like,
that,
it's already an established
on the other
neighborhood.
road on the left side where that white road is, there are homes in there, is that right? There are homes there.
Well, actually, that neighborhood has small homes there,
Mhm.
and neighborhood, that would be a drastic change for that neighborhood, because anything on that list would come in there.
I agree. I don't want to do anything on the list, and if I could restrict it, I would.
Anything could come in there with that neighborhood commercial, that's
There's,
open a big
i-
door.
if it were to be, I mean, we can't hold anybody to what somebody might say.
Yep.
It's not legal. I mean, whatever changed in the future. if you
I
want
will
to
tell
do
you, there's no
something
money
different.
in commercial right now.
Is there a reason why you didn't come after a planned development rather than a straight rezoning?
Because I still need the density. You still would only get 30 whatever units. And, you know, if I can get this rezoning, we can build some houses in there. If I can't, it's just gonna have to sit.
That's open.
And maybe be ready in another, you
I
know,
don't know that any school's gonna wanna buy it, you think?
nah, it's destroyed. The kids have all broke in there, broke everything.
Yeah, I rode by there. It's in,
Disrepair, yeah.
they
Yes.
tore that school all to pieces.
It's
Yeah.
not usable.
And I gave, it had everything in it when I bought it too, the chairs, the tables, everything.
The one on US one, same way.
Yeah,
all the
I gave
chairs.
so much stuff away, you wouldn't believe it.
Yes, everything was still left in
There was
there.
even 2 pianos in there.
Do what?
Pianos.
Well, we've got, I think there's 2 or 3 up here on US one. I know of 2, maybe 3 up there.
It shocked me.
Any further questions? The applicant is here. Any further questions? Thank you. Well, someone from the audience would like to speak, please. And
Good afternoon.
Yes,
all.
sir.
My name is Bobby Underwood. I don't live here. My daughter does. She's handicapped. She lives over in this area. And the question I have is, what happens with the houses that's already there? Like she lives on Seagraves. Are we butting up to that? To, you know where Seagraves is, right off of,
Is that the road to the?
it's off Bethune. It's
Oh,
right off
okay.
Bethune,
No,
there's
this
houses
is-
back in there.
Yeah, no, it's a considerable distance from Bethune.
Is that,
So is it on the northern side of Bethune, or is it
it's,
on the
you see
southern
right, move right there, little white, it's right there, where your thing is. That's where it is.
You can see the blue line on the property, that's
So
across the
how-
road.
Where are we building?
It would
Where's he
be
asking for?
within the blue line, sir.
Within the blue.
Oh, within the blue, so that's across the road from?
Yes, sir.
Yes, across the
Oh, okay, okay, that's all I asked, my question. It clarifies it. Thank you very much.
Across the road from any houses, it's not even on the same side.
There are houses over there, yes, ma'am. There are
On that
houses.
piece of property,
No, not on the
our
school
property.
property.
On the school, no, not on the school property.
it just looks like all the lots are over, across roads all around.
There's properties that run all the way north and
And
south,
then on-
east
But they're
and
across
west
the
of
street
Ferris.
from Kaiser, are they not? Isn't that Kaiser?
You see,
Yes.
you
They're
see
across the street.
Right here where
Deadman, their houses on
Right.
Deadman,
This
Right.
house is all back,
all back there.
all back there, and they're all small,
all the greener
small
homes.
houses. They're
Right,
just-
I
just a small
understand that, they're not,
neighborhood.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying his property is not butting up to any homes, except there's a street that divides every section of homes.
There's a home here.
Oh, there
there's
is-
a home there.
Oh, there's one there, okay,
Yes.
okay, sorry.
Okay. Mr.
I didn't see it on this map. That's more clear, I like that one better.
Who was it wanted to speak? I'm sorry, I can't make it out, I'm sorry. Just tell us who you are, please. I would call your name, but I don't know.
Brian Johnson.
Okay, thank you, I didn't want to mangle it.
I'm in partnership with the barbershop across the street of 211. I kind of got mixed emotions about the development issues, but one good thing is Aberdeen is changing for the good, which is good for the community that we're talking about. As of right now, how it stands, it looks terrible in the neighborhood. Like it's like an eyesore, like the grass ain't cut, stuff like that. So from the barbershop to looking on top of that hill to see townhouses would be a pretty good sight for me. So it'd be a good thing for, I think, for Berkeley as a whole. That's all I got to say.
Questions, any comments? And if you notice that list of things that could apply to that R10, it's not just townhouses, the other things can be put there. But that list that was on the screen, he's proposing townhouses. But there's a whole list of what could be up there.
Yeah, there's a lot of that could be there, but from the back, we can't see what could be, or neither do we have a
can you put that
list
back up?
telling us what it could be.
All that page is what could be up there.
Compared to what it is now? I mean, I don't see what that would change, really. I mean, because I look at it every day. I'm in the barbershop 6 days a week looking at such a site that I feel like we, as a community, should be taking better care of. It's kind of bad.
Any others? Anyone?
You need to conclude now, John.
Do what?
I'm sorry,
Mr. Tuesday needs to conclude his public comments.
Yes, yes.
So this is our future land use map that shows the current density as medium density for the entire area throughout here. It was adopted and approved by the commissioners in 2019. We did go through all of our procedural requirements with published notice mailings, posted notices. We went through and, for the review standards, for the Board of Commissioners, a zoning amendment per review standards in the UDO, section 25-20 Charlie, shall be considered by the commissioners and as a matter committed to the legislative discretion of the commissioners and is not controlled by any one factor. In making its decision on requested zoning map amendment, the commissioners will adopt a written statement of consistency of reasonableness that considers the following: consistency with adopted plans, whether to the extent to which the proposed zoning map amendment is appropriate for its proposed location and is consistent with the goals, purposes, objectives, and policy of the town's adopted policy guidance, and then reasonableness and for public interest, whether an approval of the zoning map amendment is reasonable and in the public interest. We conducted our analysis and we met with the applicant to discuss its application for the parcel. Staff clearly expressed the challenges associated with its request, and the staff was of the view that the proposal did not meet the future land use map density adopted and approved by the Board of Commissioners, is not within the public's interest due to the use by right associated with North Carolina's neighborhood commercial. Staff analyzed the proposed zoning map, with neighborhood commercial, and then staff analyzed the proposed zoning map amendment regarding the review criteria set forth by the UDO in section 2.5.20 Charlie, and based upon all the information and analysis contained above, staff makes the following recommendations related to the statement of consistency for the following zoning map amendment. For the consistency with adopted plans, staff recommends that the proposed zoning map amendment is not consistent with the plans of the town, specifically including the comprehensive development plan and future land use map. And then for the reasonableness and public interest, staff recommends that the reasonableness of the request is not supported and that it is not in the public interest to approve the amendment because the intensity of the zoning category for both residential uses and commercial office institutional uses are not compatible with the surrounding neighborhoods. With the staff determination, the request is not consistent with the future land use map and the UDO zoning map amendment review standards, staff makes a recommendation to deny the rezoning to protect the adjacent neighbors from the permitted use by right associated with neighborhood commercial. The Planning Board's recommendation for motion 1, zoning map amendment, ZA 23-01 is not consistent with applicable plans of the town of Aberdeen. It was made by Mr. Pomeranz, seconded by Mr. Marcham, and in favor was 4-1 with 1 abstaining. The reason the board does not think it is consistent, the zoning is so broad and allows more intensity in uses and the density, and there's no submitted plans for future development, i.e. planned development.
Point of clarity on that. The 1 abstain, is that not considered by the state as a vote for it? So it should be as technically a 5-1 vote?
Correct.
Okay.
And then motion 2, reasonable within the public interest. Motion was made by Ms. Jenger, seconded by Mr. Bone. It received all in favor 6-0. And then the recommendation to deny the zoning map amendment for ZA 23-01. Motion was made by Mr. Pomeranz, seconded by Mr. Marchant. All in favor 4-2 to deny the overall rezoning from the current R10 to neighborhood commercial. Pending any questions, you can move to your motions. Close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Did everybody vote? Was that 5-0? Okay, thank you.
Aye.
So we've closed the public hearing.
Is it too late to ask any questions at this
No,
point?
the board can discuss the matter now or
Okay.
ask questions.
So if it doesn't pass to be rezoned, you can still build townhomes. It's just a matter of the number, if I'm understanding. It's about the number of townhomes that you can put on it.
You couldn't build townhomes. You can only build duplexes. You could only build duplexes.
Only duplexes or triplexes?
Yeah.
And they can't count as townhomes.
Well, if you want to call it duplex a townhome, I guess you could do that. I'm sorry. Yeah,
It's the number of units.
I'm sorry, we're not.
That's my question.
We're not going to do this. We're going to talk to people at the podium here. If you want to call somebody back up, that would be fine.
Okay.
So if it's a duplex and it turned into a townhome, that would be fine. But a multifamily kind of thing, I mean, a townhome or condo is a form of ownership. It's not a building.
Okay.
A duplex is a building with 2 units. A single-family home is a single-family home.
All right, thank you.
There's a motion. Any other questions?
It just seems like, if you wanted to build homes there, you could come up with a different zone beside, neighborhood commercial, because
Unfortunately, Ms. Laney, we
that
can't.
zoning takes in so much,
You wanna
that
make
once you can't change it. You can put anything that's in there, in that area.
Well, there's motions on there. Get back to the motion. We need to.
Yeah, we can still discuss.
Yeah, we
That's what
still
Paul's saying,
discuss.
is we can
Okay,
still.
I thought
No,
we
no,
were
I
gonna
just-
discuss it.
But to clarify, what you're saying is, he can't really go after any other zoning other than what he's asking for, because it'd be otherwise considered spot zoning. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That's-
Well, let's be clear on that. I mean, spot zoning gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think that's got a place at this table. So something he could ask for could be spot zoning, certainly. I don't think neighborhood commercial is necessarily spot zoning. I don't think R30 is spot zoning. If he tried to put industrial on there, that would be spot zoning. Just because it's a little bit different doesn't make it spot zoning. So I'm really not sure there's anything on the table now it's been presented that's spot zone.
No, I was just clarifying what she was saying. If he was coming after any other zoning other than neighborhood commercial, would that not be considered spot zoning? Because
No,
there's nothing
It would
surrounding it.
not be considered anything else. Again, he could ask for R20 or R30, that wouldn't be considered spot zoning.
Okay, all right.
Well, right now, we have a dilapidating school, and any townhomes or whatever would be built up there would be an improvement to the neighborhood by far. No, it's not, but neither is any zoning anywhere else.
But if you look at the list and you try to imagine the worst-case scenario,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like it's not like there's going to be a Reliance plant built up there. It's going to, because that's industrial. But that's what I would look at, the worst-case scenario. If you rezone it, then you've got to think that you could potentially have any of these things, and it'd be okay, versus what's there, as Tim said, Commissioner Ham said.
Well, actually, it's just the point that if you use that zone, you're really opening the door to just, anything can come. It's just a big list of stuff that can come in there. And you can say, right now, what do we have? Just have a school, we can put something there. Sure, you can put something there. I agree with that. But you can put something there, but not anything. You can't just put anything. You have to give it some thought and see what you want to put there. But putting something there that's going to completely change, drastically change everything, and to me, it's not worth it to do that. At some point, we will reach some level where we can put something there, but don't just put something there because the school is there and we want to change it.
Further discussion? Motion, please. Any other discussion? Motion one.
Zoning map amendment, CA 2301, is not consistent with applicable plans of the town of Aberdeen for the reasons previously stated.
There is a motion. Is there a second? There is a second. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Three. Did I hear three? What did I hear?
Three.
Was it three?
You'd ask how many.
Yeah, how many is opposed?
No.
Okay, so it's 3-2. Thank you. All right, what's, motion 2?
2301 is reasonable and, 2301 is not reasonable and in the public interest for the reasons previously stated.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second? There is a second. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
The first motion is saying it's reasonable.
No.
Are we saying that the negative, that the opposition to it is reasonable?
Not reasonable.
Okay, so you said not reasonable. Okay, no, I don't. I think it is reasonable.
All right, so that's 3-2. All right, next one.
Recommend denial of zoning map amendment ZA number 2301 for the reasons stated.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
No,
Opposed?
Aye.
I'm opposed, yes.
3-2, okay. Where are we, 4? Motion 4? That was it?
There's no motion for.
No, keep the all of it. Is that it? Yeah. Okay, so failed. All right, thank you. All right, we're down, I'm gonna close out, 7, we're down to other business. Other business, who has other business? Anyone? Other business, other business, other business.
I'd just like to say I attended the More 100 on Wednesday, and Tom Pashley talked about Pinehurst number 10, which was coming out on Highway 5 for Aberdeen, and we also talked about US Open coming next year. So we know with US Open coming, it's going to be a lot of people coming through Aberdeen. So I guess we're going to get prepared.
Yes, and tickets are on sale.
That's what I saw, yeah. It's like 300 days till the US Open.
Tickets are on sale, so if anybody wants to go, you need to get you some tickets. Anyone else? I do have one, and it won't take me just a minute, and this is for Chief Colasaco. If you'll come forward so we can hear anything you might say. I'm setting you up. The other day, I was out of town part of last week, and when I got home, there was a letter in my mailbox. It's from Latta, South Carolina. Anybody here knows where Latta, South Carolina is? I've been there. It's a little...
On the way to the beach.
Yeah, it's on the way to the beach, little town, Latta, South Carolina.
Fire chief's hometown.
That's
Fire
right,
chief's hometown.
that's right, that's right. That's where he was from, down that way.
Who's from there?
All right, I'm gonna read this because it's kind of hard to, oh, I know you can't see it from there, but I'm gonna read it. It was addressed to Mayor Robert A. Farrell, my address in Aberdeen. So I opened it up, and it says, "Dear Mayor Farrell, recently I was recently I was on my home from Duke University, going home from Duke University, and I had to stop in your town at CVS, okay? My driver inadvertently locked the keys in my Tundra, I think she says truck, I'm not sure what it says. A nice policeman came up and unlocked my car. I did not get his name. Please thank him for me. It meant a great deal to me. Thanks again for your kind spirits. Sincerely."
Yes, sir. Our guys was busy that day. I showed up to the call, and Officer Wyrick is the one that showed up and actually unlocked the vehicle.
I wanted everybody that's here, I don't know, where's the press? Is the press here?
Yes, she's back there.
All right, there you go. This is indicative not only of the Aberdeen Police Department, but of Aberdeen. This lady was passing through here, locked her keys in the car. And she sent a nice note back to thank that police officer, who she did not get a name. And I'm sure she'll remember coming through Aberdeen.
Yes, sir. I'll let
Please,
him know.
I'm gonna give you this to you, and if you want to let the officers know that they are thanked.
Yes, sir, definitely.
A lot of times they're not thanked, but this one is. So I thought this was a great little note from this lady from Latta, South
You
Carolina.
could put that in the workroom, couldn't you?
Yeah, put it up.
Yeah, put it up on your
Put it up
board.
on your bulletin.
Yeah, bulletin board.
And again, thank your officers from, oh, sure, we're still, she's the arbiter over there.
Last Tuesday evening, I came home from work, and I went into my house and it was 5 o'clock, and I went in and fed my animals and decided I'd step out for something to eat. So I left my house, and I may have been gone 40 minutes, maybe at the most. And when I came back, I had this most god-awful mess in my driveway you will never, ever imagine. My tree that was, couldn't reach around it. It's been there, they say, 100 years. It had fallen in my driveway, and I couldn't get in the driveway. I couldn't even see on the other side of the driveway. And I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I finally got my car off of the road into almost a ditch or sort of thing. And I went in the house and called the fire department. Within 15 minutes, there were 5 or 6 of them there and they literally took that tree apart. Half of the tree is way up in the sky. Half the tree was still standing. Half of it was on the ground with all the leaves on it. And they took that leaves apart, opened it up, got it open where I could drive in my drive and put my car in there, and I won't ever be able to tell you what it meant. So don't ever think that we don't live in a wonderful town. I cry when I talk about it. I'm sorry. It's just that emotional to me. And I could, somehow though, I missed the tree. The tree could have landed on me, but it didn't. And that I'm grateful for. But these guys did a super job. Well, I happen to know another guy right here in Aberdeen that lives here. He takes down trees. So I called him. He was there the next morning at 7 o'clock. Took that tree out of my yard, cleaned it all up, took the other half down, and within that day, I was back to normal. Now, what a wonderful place to live.
Yes.
Now, tell me about it. You think I don't know? I'll tell the whole world about it. Because I live alone, and it was just amazing to know that I could get that kind of help in a small town like this. It was amazing. You won't ever know the feeling that I've had about it. And I want to say thanks to the fire department.
I have a letter that was mailed on June the 13th, 2023. It's addressed to the mayor and the town council. It's from Sandhills Coalition for Peace, Love, and Justice, and it reads, on behalf of the Sandhills Coalition for Peace, Love, and Justice, we want to thank the town council of Aberdeen for passage of resolution number 25-15. The mission of our coalition is to serve as a positive force against discrimination, intolerance, and hatred of all kinds through education and action. We organize the Take Back the Bridge rally in vast and direct response to anti-Semitic and white supremacist banners flown across U.S. Highway 1, as well as the attack on Moore County's electrical grid. More recently, we hosted the Community Leaders Forum to seek solutions to issues of concern to Moore County citizens. Aberdeen's resolution to condemn all forms of discrimination, inequality, abuse, and injustice sends a clear message to our beloved community that the town of Aberdeen will not tolerate acts of hatred. We are grateful. And it's signed by 3 different people. So I'll leave it here with, if anybody wants to look at it, I'll leave it here. So that's another nice letter from somebody recognizing the town of Aberdeen for what we do. Yes. All right, anybody else? Hours late.
Well, we won't see each other until August, correct?
That's correct.
So,
Unless we
guess-
see somebody somewhere.
unless we see us out, well, we'll be at the fireworks Tuesday.
That's right, see the
So remember
fireworks.
that, fireworks on Tuesday,
Don't
next
forget the
Tuesday.
fireworks, please. Come early, too. Yeah. Anybody else?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
There's a second. All in favor?